The flip side, of course, of adding web parts to your page is if you start to add a lot of them and your page gets a little busy, you may want to get rid of them. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways here, and they're quite different from each other. When I have a web part on my home page, or indeed any page, I'll often see that I have a triangle drop-down menu here. Now, this allows me to do what's called minimize, and if I click minimize, it breaks me down to just the title bar of the web part. And this is one way we could at least make this a bit more presentable, that I could minimize and then restore the different web parts and have that, but that's not really what I'm after. What if I want to get rid of the web part? Well, I'm first going to restore these back to the way they were before. Not that I really have to, but I'd like to. I'm going to come up to the ribbon and shift into the edit page mode. Now this time, when I click that drop-down option, I actually get another option here called delete. So before I was in the edit mode, I only had the minimize option. Now I have the delete option as well. Well, let's say I delete that one. You're about to permanently delete this web part. Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I'm sure. And I could come down and delete this calendar one. Delete that one too. Yep, I'm sure I want to do that. Delete the vendor list as well. I'm sure I want to do that. Now, what often worries people here is they think, well, did I just delete the list? And the answer is absolutely not. You didn't delete the list. You just deleted the web part. What do I mean by that? Well, if I save the changes I made to that page, we've got a very dull page now here. But if I go back to my all site content, I can see that I still have a shared documents library. I have a vendor list. I have a calendar. My calendar still exists. The only difference is back on my home page of this team site, I just don't have a web part here that shows it. If I want to re-add that, I'll do the same process. I'll shift into edit mode. I'll click my cursor where I want to add the web part. I'll say insert a web part. And I can say, yes, I'll do it from an existing list. I want to insert my calendar one again. Find the calendar and click add. Again, the web part itself is not representing the data. The web part is just a window to that data. I'm going to save those changes. So while deleting web parts usually isn't all that impactful because you can just add them in again, the only thing to be aware of is that with some web parts, you can actually do a fair amount of customization. Let me show you an example of one of those. I'm going to shift back into my edit page mode and insert from the regular web part list, click web part. And for example, as I start to browse through the other available web parts, and we'll see quite a few of these as we go through the rest of the course, things like business data, which you may or may not have based on the license of SharePoint. This is only available in the Advanced Enterprise license. We have things like content rollup that includes RSS viewers and site aggregators. We have a media and content section that includes a Silverlight web part and an image viewer and a content editor. Well, let's say, for example, I add the content editor web part. This is a very simple web part. This isn't actually representing a list or a library. This is just a really straightforward way of getting some stuff onto your page. In fact, it says, edit this web part to add content to your page. And if I click the little drop-down button, I see I've got my minimize option, my close option, my delete option, and my edit web part option. Well, what's that one? You'll see this on quite a few web parts. And when you select it, what often happens is you'll have this right-hand section will appear. This will look different depending on the web part that you're editing. And it's asking you here, do you want to link to a text file? I have the option to change the appearance, such as the title. Right now it says Content Editor. Whatever I type in here will change the text shown over here. We have things like the height and the width. We have layout. We have advanced options about whether you allow it to be minimized or exporting data or give it a title URL. So there's a bunch of different settings that we can change about a web part. And the thing to be aware of is if you make a lot of customizations to a web part, and then decide to delete it, well, you might have spent quite a while making all those customizations and you've just lost them all. So that's really the only thing to be aware of with web parts. It's not that there's a really big problem with deleting them and re-adding them. It's just if you've taken some time to change it, to customize it, which you often can do. And the more complex web parts you get into, the more time you'll spend doing that. And that's what you need to be aware of when deleting web parts.